A momentous man, W. B. Du Bois. Although there are many men and women who have significantly impacted the cultural and social aspect of the United States, W. B. Du Bois is a good candidate for the APUSH Hall of Fame due to his intellectual abilities, which he used to better the lives of African Americans and create equality for all people in America. Born under the name William Edward Bucart Du Bois in Great Barrington, Massachusetts, W.E.B. Du Bois was born to a free black family, which allowed him to grow up with an access to education in a public integrated school, where he was quickly seen as a prodigy and encouraged to pursue his education further. Because of this education provided, Du Bois went on to become a civil rights activist, sociologist, and author who believed that through knowledge and protest, social change for the equality of African Americans could be achieved. W.E.B. Du Bois dedicated the majority of his life to bettering the lives of African Americans by pursuing social, political, and economical equality for them all. Because of his dedication to a cause larger than himself, W.E.B. Du Bois is a great candidate for the APUSH Hall of Fame. William Edward Bucart Du Bois was born on February 23, 1868 in Great Barrington, Massachusetts, to his father Alfred and his mother Mary Sylvina Bucart Du Bois. Once William was about 2 years of age, in 1870, his father Alfred left his mother, which proved to be difficult in later years. Once Alfred left, Mary moved herself and William into her parents' house, where they lived together until William was 5. Mary later suffered a stroke in the early 1880s, which she died from in 1885. Because of William's maternal great-great-grandfather, Tom Bucart, who was a slave from West Africa in the 18th century, William's family was one of the few black free families in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. Tom Bucart was enslaved by a Dutch colonist by the name of Conrad Bucart, but he eventually served in the Continental Army in the American Revolution, which is believed to be the reason that he secured his freedom in the late 18th century. Although Great Barrington was a majority European American community, they treated William well and allowed him to attend a public integrated school and play with his white classmates. While in school, William's teachers saw how high his intellect was and encouraged him to continue to work hard and succeed in his education. Although William was given more privileges than most African Americans at the time, he still experienced racism and judgment due to him having a single mother. Because of his education, he believed that knowledge may be the key to empowering African Americans and possibly lessening the gap in equality and minimizing segregation and racism as well. In 1884, Du Bois graduated from Great Barrington High School with honors, and with the raised tuition of the congregation of his childhood church in Great Barrington, he was able to attend college at Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee from 1885 to 1888. Because of financial adversities, after his sophomore year in the summer of 1886, Du Bois taught classes in the South in order to finance his education. While teaching in the South, Du Bois experienced Southern racism for the first time, which baffled and upset him tremendously. Du Bois saw lynchings, Jim Crow laws, significantly decreased black voting, and severe racism, which encouraged him to fight for the rights of African Americans in many ways. Once Du Bois obtained his bachelor's degree from Fisk University, he was accepted into Harvard University, where he was the first black man to earn a PhD from Harvard. He also obtained his second bachelor's degree in 1990 and a scholarship to attend the sociology graduate school at Harvard in 1891. In 1892, Du Bois continued his education in Berlin, Germany, where he worked to earn his PhD until he ran out of funding and returned to the United States, where he earned one from Harvard while teaching at the University of Wilberforce in Ohio. While living in Ohio, Du Bois married Nina Gomer, one of his students, in 1896. Additionally, in 1896, Du Bois wrote an outstanding doctoral thesis, The Suppression of the African Slave Trade of the United States of America, 1638 to 1870, which was his first book that covered slavery. In 1867, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics offered him a job, which allowed him to study the black Southern household and show the world how slavery still affected the personal lives of African Americans. Although many thought these studies radical at the time, Du Bois pushed that investigation and data analysis were significantly important to sociological study. At this time, Du Bois wrote The Strivings of the Negro People for the Atlantic Monthly, which explained to white Americans and readers how it felt to experience racism, becoming his general public introduction. In 1903, W.E.B. Du Bois taught summer school at Booker T. Washington's Tuskegee University. But since Du Bois and Washington had different views when it came to gaining the rights for African Americans, it created conflict and pushed Du Bois to join the Niagara Movement, which was a group of black civil rights activists seeking civil rights for African Americans, which was opposed to Booker T. Washington's ideals. Du Bois believed that African Americans should not have to compromise their basic rights in exchange for legal justice and education, which he expressed in his classes, seminars, and speeches during his lifetime. In 1909, Du Bois attended the National Negro Conference in New York, where him and the attendees created the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, also known as the NAACP. Du Bois stressed that they must stay colored instead of black so that all dark-skinned people around the world could and would be included. In 1910, Du Bois was offered a job as a director of publicity and research for the NAACP, where his main job was editing the NAACP's monthly magazine, which Du Bois named The Crisis. As Du Bois wrote and edited the magazine, he wrote of the injustice and inequalities that African Americans faced in the country and how, through education and social advancement, African Americans would be able to surpass this barrier and obtain equality in social, political, and economical aspects. One of the main issues that Du Bois pushed to end through his writings in The Crisis was lynching, and through Du Bois' writings, he helped create a national push to the federal government into outlawing lynching. Over the years that Du Bois was the editor of The Crisis, he wrote about many cases that African Americans faced in order to help bring awareness and to educate all so that African Americans could rise up past the racism that they faced and gain the equality he knew they deserved. From Du Bois resigning as an editor of The Crisis in 1931 to his death on August 29th to the 30th, 1963, Du Bois tirelessly worked to better the United States sociologically so that they will all feel at peace, respected, and equal in a land historically segregated in many ways. Du Bois died in Accra, Ghana, doing what he loved, speaking out about the injustices and inequality that colored people faced around the world, which just shows how much he cared about bettering the lives of both African Americans